Hello, my fellow explorers. Welcome to another episode of our Industry Explorers. We are going to focus on pivoting from entertainment to real estate with Tyler Stamets. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. It's
Good.
awesome seeing you again. It's been a while. We used to work
It's
together at Disney.
it's been a hot minute.
Definitely. Or an LA minute in traffic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So, without further ado, Tyler, he's a real estate agent and investor in Southern California. From Airbnb to raw land investing, Tyler has spent the past 5 years transitioning from entertainment audio engineering to real estate, which is a very interesting transition. I think those are two completely different things. So, I would love to know, what is it that you did at Disney? I mean,
Okay.
obviously, I just said audio engineering, but can you describe that for our listeners?
Well, as you know, and maybe some of the folks listening know, but many people don't, doing the kind of technical side of entertainment work at Disney was very much, you didn't just do one thing. You had to do a lot of different things. So in my career there, I did everything from the nuts and bolts, behind the mixing board, twisting the knobs, pushing the faders type of audio engineering that people might think of. But I was also part of the build crew for the World of Color show, down in a drained lagoon with my hard hat on and my safety vest, drilling holes in concrete to, mount the structures that show was built off of, and placing all the fountains. And there was a lot of different things in between. My main focus kind of for the latter half of my Disney career was doing special events and technical direction. So I did a lot of different things there.
What is entailed in special events and technical direction at Disney?
A lot of just kind of the theme of everything is solving a lot of problems. That's the biggest thing that we wound up doing was, you had an event that needed to happen. And with Disney, they never want to put an event in a place where an event should happen. They want to put it out. Like I did a lot of the half marathons where we were out in the middle of the street, having to build, truss, having to build stages, having to bring in generators and put up lights and sound systems in places where they had absolutely no business of going, and doing that overnight, working on closed streets and in the middle of the night, and in the cold and the rain, in whatever season they happen to be, and getting it done hopefully quickly and efficiently, but most of all safely, and making it so that these events could happen. So
I think when I first started at Disney, that's probably where we first met, was on one of those Disney marathon events,
probably, yeah.
a graveyard shift.
Yeah.
I honestly had fun during those. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Just tell me where. I didn't have to do much problem solving during my time at Disney. I was never in a lead role, but I don't know. It was fun, like putting those things together. Do you have a project that stands out to you, or a certain event that you like the best from your time at Disney?
It's really hard to narrow it down to just one thing. I mean, the big event that I did the most of, just because we got to the point where we were doing 4 of them a year, were those half marathon weekends where we were doing a 5K one day, a 10K the next day, and a half marathon the next day. And there were a lot of logistics, and we were entertainment, but we wound up kind of being the logistics solution people for a lot of parts of that. So we weren't just doing strictly entertainment. So that's, when I think about my time and how I spent a lot of it, those types of events were a big part of it. But, everything from Pirates of the Caribbean movie premieres to big land openings like Cars Land, or, California Adventure. So
Yeah.
there's honestly, if I had to stop to think of what that would be, I might sit here for 10 minutes, just, silent, trying to think of something.
Yeah. I mean, is it because are there too many good memories it's hard to pinpoint them, or is it the opposite?
No, I mean, there's a lot of good memories. There's a lot of struggle memories and everything in between. It's just that when you're in that environment, it doesn't seem exceptional, the things that you're doing. It seems like, oh, this is what we do every day. And then you start talking about it, in my life now, I'll offhandedly mention, oh yeah, I did that, or I helped build that thing, or something that I did while I was there. And people go, wait, what? You did that? And
Yeah.
I have to take this moment of saying, well, yeah, it was like a Wednesday. That was what we did on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And on Thursday, I then did something completely different. And then on Friday, I maybe got a day off. But then on Saturday, I was back to running like audio for a show that was happening in the park because I needed to fill out my week. And, some people's head explode, especially if they're of the Disney fan type.
Yeah.
And, it was an interesting place to be because I was in like a quasi leadership position some of the time, but I was also just one of the guys, one of the folks out there working all night, putting things together, and like I said, solving problems, not just logistical, like physical problems, but a lot of people problems.
People problems. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So how many years did you end up being at Disney?
Um, all told, I was there on and off for 15 years, but not all of that was in the entertainment department. I actually started out way back when I was in college at UC Irvine. I did a couple year stint in the attractions department. I worked on the Rocket Rods, the very short-lived Tomorrowland attraction back in the very early 2000s, and was around doing that right around the time that California Adventure opened. And then I left for a while and then came back into technical services, the entertainment tech division, and did that for right about 10 years. So,
That's quite a while. That's quite the
yeah,
career.
yeah, it turned into that, didn't it? It's one of the, I think almost everyone, especially at, working at a theme park, you don't think it's going to be a forever job, especially when you first get hired and it's very part-time and you're not guaranteed any hours. And you're, at that time for me, definitely struggling to, make ends meet as far as money was going. But then you get some seniority and you start making a little more money, and all of a sudden you become very comfortable.
Yeah.
And it winds up being a pretty steady gig that I know a lot of people right now are missing very, very much. So I definitely don't want to take that for granted, or tried not to take it for granted at the time.
At what point did you decide that this wasn't what you wanted to do for the rest of your life, and why real estate?
Well, it's kind of a long answer to that question, but I'll try and make it as easy as possible. So back in 2011, I had some family tragedies happen that kind of forced my hand to begin that trend. It took me many years after that to transition completely out of entertainment, but my father died and my mother was um, injured. She had a traumatic brain injury from falling down some stairs back within 6 months of each other. And so obviously that was a big, traumatic event for my family. And so I had to start devoting a lot more time to helping to care for people and do that. So I realized after trying to juggle both for a couple of years, I was driving back and forth to San Diego because my mom was down here in San Diego County. I was driving back and forth at least once or twice a week. I was doing, kind of burning the candle at both ends on that sort of thing. And I said, I don't think I can do this anymore. At least not in the Orange County, LA area. And I investigated into starting to do the same type of work down here in San Diego. But the opportunities are not as many. And I didn't have many great connections in that industry down here. So when I finally made the decision to move for to be closer to the family, I said, I really need to find something else. I need to find a career where I can probably make some money, but more importantly, I'm not locked into 100% trading my hours for dollars. I can be a little more in charge of my own schedule. I can, set appointments when they work for me, but also be available for the family when I need to do that. So I started investigating real estate as a potential for that, but it took years to get to the point where that was actually going to work.
So
But
between and I'm so sorry about those tragedies. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So that's definitely like a really powerful force
Yeah.
because you had to travel from San Diego County back to Orange County back and forth. That is, yeah, that's tough. So during that time period between then and pondering real estate to actually getting into it, what did you do between then? Were you still working for Disney?
Yeah, I was definitely working for Disney. I mean, those were some of my busiest years at Disney. When I was, kind of taking on a little bit more of a leadership role. Because I wasn't stopping my career path there. I was, planning on continuing that for a long time. And so I bought a house in 2012, right, um, right, kind of the prices had come down from the big, financial crash. Everything was okay. And I was in a position financially after having worked full time at Disney for many years and saving up money to actually be able to purchase a house. And I bought a house intentionally as close to Disneyland as I possibly could. And I had, the year before, discovered this brand new website called Airbnb. And actually, my wife was the one who discovered it. We were taking a really quick, this is going to sound weird, a weekend trip to Barcelona, Spain. But we literally got on a plane on like a Thursday night and we're back by Monday. And we stayed in this great little Airbnb, which now when I say it, everyone doesn't bat an eye. But back then in 2011 or whenever exactly it was, it may have even been earlier than that we did this. I think it may have been 2009. It was right when it was brand new. Uh, we stayed in this stranger's house, and it was back when Airbnb was a lot less of like renting out your own apartment and more of just like crashing in someone's spare room in their house. And I kind of fell in love with the idea that you could derive some income from just renting out a bedroom in your house. And when I bought my house in Anaheim, it was mostly for me to live in. But it was also with the idea that I knew I was near one of the biggest tourist attractions in California. I wound up being, a 5-minute bike ride from the back employee gate, easily walkable, or once Uber and Lyft came into being, a easy Uber or Lyft ride to the front gate for people. And so we started renting out one of our bedrooms. Just, it wasn't a big house, it was just a normal 3-bed 2-bath little ranch house in Anaheim, the cookie cutter ones that there's hundreds of. And we started having really good success doing that right off the bat, because back then there weren't many people doing it. And we were a lot cheaper than some of the people who were trying to rent out their whole house, because we were just renting a room. So we had a lot of Australians sleeping in our guest bedroom. And it got to the point where we were booked solid. There wasn't a vacancy hardly ever. And we were basically paying our mortgage just by renting out this one spare bedroom. And that kind of got me thinking of real estate as a way to make, way to really make a living and have kind of the passive income dream that is very popular these days. But I feel like when I started doing it, I didn't really know much about, that sort of thing. I knew that to earn money. You go and you work hard and you spend the time and you trade your time for dollars. And if you do a good job, they'll ask you to come back and do another job. And you do that over and over and over again. And you save up as much as you can. And that's how you have a good life. And then all of a sudden, I discovered this other avenue where it was possible to just, have this extra space that was worth something to someone else, and you could make money off of it. And I was like, sweet, that's great, And, I remember friends at the time, people working with me, they're like, I can't believe how you could have strangers in your house. Isn't that hard? And I'm like, not as hard as having to struggle to pay the mortgage. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Did you guys, did you end up keeping that house and continue renting it out even after
Yeah,
moving back to San Diego?
I did. I was in a fortunate position that I didn't have to sell that house in order to move down to San Diego, because I moved kind of in with family, and so I was able to keep that house as a now it rents the whole thing for on like Airbnb or VRBO, and now it's still a vacation rental, but I still have it, so I could go back at any time.
Yeah, that's super great. And
Yeah.
that makes sense. I can totally see how having an Airbnb is kind of like a nice gateway into real estate.
Yeah.
So after that Airbnb experience, and now I can see the shift where you're starting to think like a realtor. Did you have to get any certifications to become a real estate agent?
Yeah, I mean, there's a real estate test that the state of California and every state in the country licenses their real estate agents. So it, you have to go and take a class. Technically, they say that it's a college level class, but most people just do a quick either online only now, or I actually did classes in person, kind of on the weekends, and whenever you can fit them in. And you do what's the equivalent of 3 college level courses in real estate, and then you go take a test, and if you pass the test, you're licensed, woohoo, and technically you're allowed to practice real estate. The information that's on a test and the information that they teach you in real estate school, very similar to most higher education, has nothing to do with the real world most of the time. And
do you have a college degree?
Yeah. I graduated from UC Irvine with a degree in theater and drama. So
I'm also a theater major.
Yeah.
I feel you there. I hear you. Yeah.
And honestly, to digress on that, I wouldn't trade that for anything. I don't think there's any other degree that I'd rather have that I think would have prepared me better for the life that I have now. I don't even think a business degree would have been more helpful. I mostly talk for a living.
Yeah.
So what's better than a theater degree to learn how to talk and improvise and roll with the punches when things come your way.
Especially when it comes to problem solving and problem solving, people are dealing with people, right?
Yeah.
From the artist to technical directors to your crew to anything going on, So let's talk about real estate and what are some of the things. So what is the test that you have to take? What is that test called?
It's called the California State Realtor Salesperson Exam. It's the California Department of Real Estate. Like you complete your classes and then you fill out an application. You send it off. You still have to mail it. They don't even accept a online submission. You mail it with a check.
Come on, guys.
And you wait, and then they're always months behind in processing those. Jeez. So you have to I'm actually having to re-up my license right now, and I sent off the same basic thing just the other day. And you go on the website, and it doesn't tell you we've received anything. It just says we are currently processing the applications we received in December, and this was March.
Oof.
So they're and they're always that's not like a COVID thing. They're always that behind.
Yeah.
So it's a good, few month process to get your test date. And then you go to a testing center. They have I only think they have about 4 in the entire state, but one's here in San Diego. There's one in right between LA and Orange County in La Palma.
Hmm.
And those are like the 2 in Southern California.
Wow.
If you are a real estate agent in Southern California, you took your test at one of those 2 places. And there's some up north as well, but you go and take the test and
So,
you hopefully pass.
so then you pass the test. Months later, the government finishes processing the test and issuing your certificate or your license.
Yeah,
Once you're licensed,
right.
what do you do then? Do you have to
Well,
get insurance? Do you have to either join a realty, like a realty
yeah.
agency, or start your own? How does that work?
You're not allowed to start your own when you're brand new.
Okay.
For good reason, because theoretically you have no idea what you're doing. You have to go not work for, but basically hang your license with a brokerage that already exists. So, like Century 21, Remax, Keller Williams, any of those big real estate brands that you've heard of, that you've seen countless millions of signs for all over the place. Those are brokerages, and they have a bunch of agents that work underneath them. But the real estate industry is kind of set up like no other industry in the world, where you go and work for this company, but you don't actually work for them. You're a 1099 independent contractor. And every time there's any sort of law about 1099 workers or anything, there's always a carve out for real estate agents, because no one wants to mess with real estate agents just working for straight commission only, no salary for, most of the companies that you work for. So you go, and every brokerage actually wants you. Like, it's not like it's also the exact opposite of getting any other job, because every brokerage wants all the new agents to go to them,
Mm-hmm.
not because they want to help you. It's because they want every new agent has like 2 or 3 people in their life that they know that they can go and say, "Hey, I just got my real estate license. Will you please let me help you buy or sell your house? I need my first deal. I need to get some experience." And
Mm-hmm.
every brokerage knows that people who are new have a couple of those up their sleeve. At least most people do. They know somebody. They used to work with somebody. They've got some connection with other people that is going to yield. And that's really easy money for these brokerages, especially because they tend to work out commission splits with these new agents that are like 60-40, and the brokerage is the one taking 60, and
Oh,
the new
wow.
agent is taking 40. Or I've heard of worse. I've heard of 80-20, where they're like, "Well, you're going to pay us all your money because we're going to actually teach you how to do this
Wow.
business." So it can be a very difficult business to it's very easy to get into the business. It's very hard to actually make money in the business past, a small amount, to actually make a really good income. There's some agents that make, millions of dollars, but the
Mm-hmm.
vast majority of real estate agents quit and never renew their license. Like 80% of people that get their license never renew it, which you have
Mm.
to renew it every 4 years. So they don't even make it 4 years in the industry. And most people don't even make it 1 year. So it's kind of like acting in that, like, the pool of people who are trying to do it, at least for a short period of time, is huge. And the amount of people that actually are really successful at it is pretty small. And that's just for the agent side of the business.
Are there different kinds of real estate agents?
There's 2 basic kinds. As far as the license go, it's all the same, at least in California. Every state has different rules on real estate, but in California, you're basically a real estate agent, but people tend to either be a residential, which is the vast majority, or a commercial real estate agent, which is anything that's not involving single family homes. So
So
you can
would you
kind
be
of do more.
commercial? Would you be commercial because you also are selling plots of land in the backcountry?
I dabble in both. Like I said, the same license does both. There's no difference in the licensing. There's difference in the type of brokerage that you're at. The brokerage that I'm at is a really small little boutique brokerage We're in the rural backcountry areas of San Diego County. We do a lot of homes, but we do a lot of ranch land. We do a lot of, just raw vacant land. We also do businesses every now and again. There's just not a lot of commercial real estate out here. So there's not a dedicated commercial brokerage in the area that I'm in. So if you want to sell a business, you're either going to go with the local person who knows this area, or you're going to have to go find a commercial broker that, is used to doing commercial stuff, but they have no idea about the area. So you can kind of choose. But yeah, so I do both, but most people do not do both.
Gotcha. Is it difficult to do both?
I wouldn't recommend it for most people. It's much better to concentrate on the one thing. It's just like most industries. The more you niche down and figure out your exact little place that you're most comfortable being, that's where you're going to find the most success. Real estate's no different. If you're too generalized, then you never become known for any one thing. And then, it's easy to be looked over that way. So I'm kind of the exception to the rule.
So how long have you been in real estate now?
So 4 years. So I got my license 4 years ago after, I feel like I was already kind of in it before then with, the Airbnb and time starting to invest side of things. But as far as being licensed and working as an agent, 4 years.
Nice. I'm trying to pull up. Here we go. I wanted to share the screen here. Here is your page. There you are. So you're with Red Hawk. You're with Red Hawk Realty, and this is actually the background photo that we have for our live stream. It's the 9-acre ranch with Adobe home. Yeah, that's cool. I want to see the home. Where is it? So what are some of the best parts about being a real estate agent in like the backcountry of San Diego?
It's beautiful. I mean, that's kind of the best part about doing real estate where I do it, is I'm not looking at the same tract home over and over and over again. I'm looking at, unique properties that most of the time are really, pretty to look at and fun to promote and sell. And I'm dealing with lots of different types of people, and it's it's very unique as far as that goes. So
I love it.
That's kind of my favorite part about it. Because
what does pending mean? Does that mean it's not on the market quite yet?
No, it means that someone has made an offer on it and it's been accepted and it's in escrow. So there's always a period between when someone says, yeah, I'm going to buy that house, and then when, the loan gets processed and everything happens and then escrow closes. There's always a 30, 45 day ish period there where you're
Can this one no longer be pending because I want it?
Yeah, that one's beautiful.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's a $500,000 home right there. I think that's what it was listed for.
Yeah, which in Southern California these days is not that much, but in other parts of the country is crazy. So it just depends on where you're at.
That is absolutely gorgeous. So what advice do you have for someone who wants to get into real estate in Southern California?
Yeah. Well, I would give them kind of the advice that I would give myself that I lucked into. I had, you can see her on the right there, Angela Acosta. She's an old high school friend of mine who I've known for a very long time. And she was actually my agent when I was moving back down here. And we got to talking about real estate and how much I enjoyed it. And she's the one who really convinced me to go ahead and get my license. And we started working together right off the bat. She mentored me and taught me a lot about the business. And that's the biggest advice for someone wanting to get, especially if you've not been anywhere near this industry before. Find if you know someone in the industry, even if you don't want to work with them forever, having someone help and guide you through is going to be hugely valuable. It's not an industry that is very friendly to a lone wolf who just just woke up one morning and said, I want to be a real estate agent. It's very difficult.
That seems to be true for most industries.
Yeah, and it's the same. It's the same advice. And finding a mentor is hard because you need a lot from them, and it's hard to offer value. But being an assistant for somebody, is a great way to learn the business. You're not going to get paid a lot to be an agent's assistant, but you're going to learn so much. And there's not a way that you can just go and get schooling in the real world of actually doing real estate, because it's very different on paper than it is in real life.
Absolutely. What a cool piece of land that someone could buy right here.
Yeah.
Oh, those are cute.
Yeah,
So,
that one just went pending yesterday, I think.
nice. Who are some people? So you have your client who you probably speak to the most.
Yeah.
Who are some other people that you speak to when you are trying to sell a piece of land or you're trying to sell a home?
Well,
Because I see like for example, these photos look really professional. So it looks like
yeah.
you work with a photographer. Are
Yeah.
there other people that you work with to help promote all of this?
For sure. It kind of takes a little army of people to really do it right. You have to have a professional photographer who specializes in doing real estate photography, because it's not, the type of photography that we need to showcase a home or a piece of property is very different than you'd take for, art photography or just for documentation purposes. So you want a great photographer. You're talking with other agents a ton. My phone never stops ringing. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You're always talking with other agents, and hopefully having a good relationship with those other people.
When you say other agents, do you mean it within like the same company that you work for?
No, usually, I mean, yes, but usually in a different company. So usually most real estate transactions have two agents. There's an agent that represents the seller, otherwise known as the listing agent. And then there's an agent that represents the buyer. And those two agents have to talk to each other and work together in order to get the deal done most of the time. Sometimes someone will call you up and say, hey, I want to sell my home. And you say, great. And you write the contract up. And in California, I'm allowed to also then, if some buyer says, hey, I want to buy that house, and I say, great, let me write you the offer, there can just be one agent involved, but usually there's two.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Because for a second I was thinking, wouldn't that be like talking to the competition? But no, that makes sense. One for the buyer, one for the seller. So you represent the seller.
I represent the seller sometimes. I represent the buyer sometimes.
Gotcha.
We do a lot more listings than we do buyer, but in an ideal world, I would just do listings, because representing buyers is a little more legwork as far as driving people around and showing them the homes. But that's actually one of my favorite parts about doing this job. I like, it's the part where I feel like I'm, a guy on HGTV, actually playing real estate agent, and get to pretend that that's my life, even though my life is not that way most of the time.
So how has your time, and you can pull, like, I leave this question pretty open-ended, but like between your theater degree and your entertainment experience and your experience at Disney doing all these projects, what from that experience, from those experiences, has helped you most as a real estate agent?
I think that the thing that I got most from, and I think this goes all the way back to having an education in theater, the thing that theater gave me and I've used every step of my career, is instruction in how to collaborate with other people. It's not a skill that's taught in most industries. Like, most of the time you're taught how to do the nuts and bolts, but you're not taught how to collaborate and how to have creative problem solving types of conversations. And I was always taught that. Like, that was a big part of my education, doing design work for theater, is you learned how to sit in a production meeting, and everyone had their different job and their different contribution when you were creating a show. And real life is like that in almost every industry that I've ever been a part of, where there's never a circumstance where any one person can do a thing by themselves. Like, there's just hardly ever is that the case. So the better you can be at collaborating with other people, especially other people that might be either difficult personalities or have different goals than you have, and trying to figure out, all right, great, I understand you have a different goal than me, but we can still work together on creating something. And whether you're creating a piece of theater, whether you're creating a piece of music, whether you're creating a special event at Disney, or you're working with a team of real estate people, like buyers and sellers and other agents and the escrow officer and the lender, you're still working to create something, which is, at the end of the day, a kind of finished product of, you're happy and you bought a new house, and everyone is happy to have been a part of it, ideally.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the main thing.
What are some common talking points when you're showing a house?
I mean, there's always the nuts and bolts, the data, the bedrooms and bathrooms. You wind up learning a lot about basic construction techniques, because you need to know,
okay.
when people ask you questions, they want to know, when was the house built? How was it built? I know way more about permitting and land use than I ever thought I would. And that's different for every little market that you're in. So you have to become a bit of an expert or a really quick study in that sort of thing. So those are important things. And then the thing that you really have to figure out is how people want to communicate, because some buyers love data. They love for you to tell them all of the facts and figures. It's this many acres, or this big of a, this many square foot lot, this many square feet in the house. And it has all of you start rattling off statistics. Some people want to talk emotion and feelings. Some people want you to say, oh, it feels so warm, and oh, this just amazing. Don't you get just the greatest feeling from this home? And then some people just want to talk money. They want me to do a spreadsheet, and they want to know that they're getting a good deal. And that's the only thing that's important to them. So you have to learn how to talk the language that the other person wants to hear. And if you're not ready to pivot and speak their language pretty quickly, then they're probably not going to work with you for very long.
And you have to be prepared to make a switch just like that, or to adjust.
You try to, I'm not always successful. I've been, I've definitely had the circumstance where I'm like, oh, no wonder they were checked out. I wasn't talking about the right thing with them, but you learn after having, now I kind of switch fairly effortlessly, because you pick up on the little things that people are saying, the questions that they're asking you, and then you start asking them more questions, and you realize what language they're speaking.
And also picking up on their body language, I imagine.
Yeah. And, a lot of theater training parlays into that really well. I can't tell you, people that I went to college with, I know several that were fantastic, successful actors, now are agents. The agent that I bought my first house with was a former Disney actor. Tons of people from entertainment wind up being very successful in this field because of those skills. And and sometimes I talk to other agents that are just so awkward and so clueless. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
how do you do it? How do you function in this world being so darn awkward all the time and not
Yeah.
picking up on any social cues and not getting it? So
So, do a
yeah.
lot of real estate agents kind of play play up their own personality? I honestly, like, I have a cousin who's a real estate agent in Texas, and I feel like when I see him posting on social media, that's him. Like,
Yeah.
that is I because he's my cousin, so I know that is
Yeah.
who he is. He is all about these things, and even the font that he chooses, the way that he presents his information, like that is Brian. So,
Yeah.
what's your style? How do you present yourself? How do you play up your personality?
Well, the personality that I want to, put out there is just someone who's going to be easy to work with and who's looking out for, you know, a client's best interest, who's, I'm not going to bring my own uh, likes and dislikes to the process. I'm going to take my cues off of my client. And I think that that's, kind of rolling with the punches and being able to, you know, um, do that is a big part of it. But yeah, you have to bring your own personality to it, because if you're trying to force something that you're not, people see through that right away.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've got a pretty laid back style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not showing up in suits. I'm not that agent.
Yeah.
Especially in the market that I work in, but even so, those days are almost completely done unless you're working in super high end, South
Yeah.
Mansions and Newport Coast.
Yeah, it is funny that you mentioned that. That is, that's a trend. I feel that is absolutely happening. Is less and less industries are really putting high value on like business, like formal business wear,
Yeah.
right? A
Yeah.
lot of people are moving more towards business casual, which I think is perfectly acceptable. And also, it makes it easier to relate to someone, especially if you're in the service industry, which I would consider like real estate being
Oh
very much
yeah.
a service. And I
Oh,
would
very
want to be
much.
able to relate to my clients.
Yeah. No, and you have to, I mean, that's kind of the same, another side of the same coin of you need to know what that client needs from you. And if I had a client that I really felt needed me to be dressed up, then heck, I'll put on the suit, I guess. I haven't had that client yet, but I would do
Yeah.
it. I would have no problem with it, but I don't need to.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, you probably have a lot of suggestions for restaurants, points of interest. Can
Yeah.
you just, if I'm someone who's visiting the San Diego County,
Yeah.
what are some cool places for me to check out?
Well, so my hometown is Julian, which some of my real estate is at. So I would say take a road trip up to Julian. Anyone who knows me is going to laugh when I say this, but you get to go have apple pie up in Julian. It's famous for it. And you can go check out Mom's Apple Pie up there. You can check out a bunch of cool gift stores, do a little shopping. There's great barbecue and beer and a couple awesome breweries. That's definitely one of my favorite places that I work in and around. So, and it's where I'm from. So I'm partial to it.
I don't think I've ever been to Julian, but now I have to check it out. It sounds
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
What else? Do you have to tell people about like the wild animal park? Is that pretty
Yeah.
close by?
Yeah. It's actually pretty close to where I live. It's just kind of over and down the hill. I can drive there in about 15 minutes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, that's definitely, you have to know the local area for sure, because especially if someone's moving in from out of the area, you
How
become
often do
the
you get people
go-to.
moving from? Do you get people who often move from out of the county or out of state? Or like
Yeah,
what do you typically see?
it's all over the place. A lot of my clients right now who are selling are moving out of the state, and an almost equal amount of people who are moving in from out of the state.
Hmm.
So I can't tell you. I don't have any you know big trends that I see other than people move around. It's what people do. But yeah, most of the time it's people are moving a decent amount, but sometimes it's just, oh, I'm tired of living in this area. I'm going to move to the next area over and I'm going to upgrade my house. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of all the different things, but they'll still have the same questions, even if they're in the same basic area, because they want to know who can they call to fix problems, where can they go to eat and find good food, shopping, schools, all those things.
Oh, schools. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you do your research on like the school system? Do you just like do a quick, like a Google
Yeah.
search and just look at
They
reviews
have
of schools?
Yeah, they have rankings and ratings that
Okay.
most of the real estate sites have that's pulled off. I don't know how they make the rankings, but in most of the markets I live in or work in, it's not like you got choice. There's the school in these
Right.
rural areas. It's
Right.
not like,
Yeah.
oh well, if I live in this neighborhood, my kids go to this elementary, and that it was like,
Hmm.
no, they go to the school. So
The school.
for
That makes
me,
it
it's not
easier.
for, in some real estate markets, school is so important. I mean, that is just the biggest deal for a lot of markets. And you see values follow accordingly. Like, oh, that one school is good. Oh, that's why homes in this area are $100,000 more than homes in just across the street
Hmm.
because the school district changed. And, so schools can play a huge part in value.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you often like work with clients who have families or who are starting families?
Yeah, a lot of the first time buyers are either young families, or a couple that wants to finally start a family, and that's why they're looking to buy. So yeah, a pretty fair amount.
What's the weirdest question someone has asked you?
Well, the weird question that you get all the time is asking if someone has died in a property, because people always want to know if someone has ever died in the property. And I'm actually, legally, I have to tell them if I know. So that's kind of the one weird one. You get all sort. I mean, like I wind up talking about septic tanks a lot in my market
Yeah.
because most of these places are not on city sewers. So I wind up
Oh.
talking about, the business end of a house a lot more than I would probably care for, but that's fine. And they want me to know exactly how much it costs to put a new one in. And I'm just like, I don't do that.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you
So
have like a list of contractors in your back pocket that you can call up
I,
or refer people to?
I try and keep them. I'm always looking for more because it's so hard to find good service providers. But yeah, I definitely keep a good little list of different people to call
Wow.
for just about anything.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know that I would want to know if someone died in my house. I don't
Yeah.
know that I don't know that.
There's
I think
actually a
I'd rather
website you
just
can
not
look it up for like
know.
any property. It's like diedinhouse.com or something like that.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
definitely a thing. So
Wow, that's interesting. As we wrap up, I am really happy that people who are tuning in stuck around with us. So this has been a lot of fun. Um, I've been hoping that my best friend is watching this because she's been talking to me about real estate. So I'm hoping that, if she's watching now or if she catches the replay, hopefully, she learned something. And yeah, she's also in Southern California, so I may send her your way. Is
there
there
you go.
any last minute calls to action or words of wisdom you'd like to share with our viewers?
That's a great, I mean, I think that the call to action as far as real estate goes is that it seems daunting, especially when you're just starting out and it seems like it's going to be impossible to buy a house if that's something that's a dream of yours. But it is doable. There's all sorts of loan programs that you can only put 3% down on a house and get into it for, a reasonable amount of money. And you want to work with someone who is really going to go to bat for you and really be there by your side, because the first time you go through that process, it is difficult and there's a lot of questions that you're going to have. And unless you have someone that you really like and trust to go through it with you and to kind of be your guide, it's going to be difficult. The industry is moving more and more towards, just, oh, click on this button and some random person is going to show you this house. And I would recommend to not click those buttons. Find someone who's an agent that they've worked with a friend or a family member, that they really care about their clients and they can give you good advice, because a lot of people in this industry just want to make a sale and get it done. And you can either get really frustrated that way or lose a lot of money that way. So
solid advice. Thank you so much for being with us, Tyler, and for sharing your experience pivoting from entertainment to real estate. It was excellent having you with us. If you guys found value in this live stream, be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Industry Explorers. And if you don't already know, we are doing a giveaway for the next 12 days or so at the time of this live stream. Thank you, Facebook user. Great advice. Much appreciated. Yes. And we are doing a giveaway. So we have over 100 subscribers on YouTube. Woo! First YouTube milestone. I feel like next milestone is 500 and then 1,000. We're going to get there slowly but surely. Very excited. The giveaway is a free rope access certification course. So you just go to Industry Explorers, find the post that says win a free rope access certification course, and enter to win. It is no cost. You just watch a video and then it puts in a little ticket with your information. And at the end of the promotion period, Raffle Press will randomly select a winner. So all you got to do is get yourself to the course and you save yourself about $1,800, which is really, really exciting. That's all I want to do with Industry Explorers. I just want to help people wherever they're at in life. I want to help you guys make your transitions from one industry to another, or elevate yourself within your industry, no matter where you're at. So again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on our next adventure. Take care, everyone.